Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this quick shot of romance is Carolina. Hi, Carolina.
Hey Becky, I'm glad to be back. I feel like
Um,
it's been a while.
it feels like it. It does. Yeah. Um, but I'm super excited because you and I equally have an obsession with Carrie Elks.
Obsessed.
Like perfect small town romances. They're
Uh,
so real. They're just so good.
they're feel good. They're like the feel good comfort reads.
I always compare her books to kind of spicy Hallmark movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you like those kind of charming, cheesy Hallmark feel good movies, but would like to see them with some spice,
But not like crazy cheesy. Like
no.
we're there. It's like the feel good, the heartwarming. But they definitely have their gem moments. Like you're like, oh, this is a warm and fuzzy moment.
Yeah. So on this episode of A Quick Shot of Romance, we are reviewing Strictly Pleasure by Carrie Elks. This is book 2 in her Salinger Brothers series. Did you read book 1?
I have not read book one.
Okay, I did read book 1 and it was really great, but I feel like you can very much read this book as a standalone. I think that's something she does really great. All her books
Yeah.
really do stand on their own.
I haven't read book one, and this definitely was a standalone. I could read it as a standalone. I wasn't lost, but I was intrigued enough that I want to read the first book and get their stories. And now I am ready for each of the brothers' stories because they are so well um, characterized.
Yeah.
So
So, book 1 in the series is my biological clock is ticking on our heroine and looking at sperm donation, and her really grumpy asshole boss is like, I'll be your in-person sperm donor. That's book 1. It's delightful. Anyway, because we have so much to talk about in this book, I will link the synopsis, or the full synopsis of this book will be on our on the shelf show notes for this episode on our website. So you'll want to check those out. Um, the release date is January 26th of 2023. This is a family series, rom-com, one night stand-ish.
one night stand adjacent.
Is that Jason, I guess? Um, this is frenemies to lovers
Yes.
because they tolerate each other, sorta.
Well, they tolerate each other because he's the brother and she's the best friend to the brothers, the first brothers, or like the brother from the first book's
First book.
wife.
So this
So,
is a slow burn romance because they fight the chemistry in the first 40% of this book.
yeah.
Um,
I
and
would
this,
also add reformed player on here.
oh yeah, he is a reformed player. Although, is he really a player?
Ish
See, it's more of that ish because in
in
the
all the best ways. Like it's one night adjacent ish.
because in the
It's
2 years, because they had their little whatever ish one night stand ish thing they did. It's they that happened on the wedding night for couple one, or the engagement of couple
yeah,
one.
it was a year prior. It was a year prior to this book.
Right. And so a year later, and
Mm-hmm.
he has not fooled around with anybody in a year. He's not been dating.
Yeah, but prior to that, and the reason I say reformed player is because he has that he doesn't do relationships,
That's true.
and that has been since college. Like he does not do relationships. So,
And I always wonder about the billionaire that doesn't do how burned in your past do you have had to have been to say that it's one night and done? And we see that commonly in billionaire romances.
Well, I think it's also like the mentality of you can do that. It, like with athletes too. You see that in athletes a
That's
lot
true.
as well, because it's just supply and
Supply.
demand. There is a supply of beautiful women like ready to spend a night with you. So if you don't want to do a relationship, then
You
you
don't
know,
have to.
and that's his boundary. He has boundaries so that it doesn't create the relationships.
So this is a series of standalones. The put out percentage or the pop on this one is 45%. Um, okay, so our hero's name is Liam. And we said Liam is, I guess I did. I said Liam, the charming, infatuated playboy, is super easy to adore as he navigates unfamiliar territory and tries to find his way forward. He's never been in love. He's never been head over heels for anyone.
Yeah, I well, and he doesn't do relationships, and there's a reason for that, which it's a newer book, so I won't spoil it. Um,
Well, but
but
it really comes down to, and we get a lot of this in book one, and I think that it leads up to in the first 40%, he has a very complicated family dynamic.
correct.
And the
And it was really interesting that Carrie Elks describes it in the book, but then she actually describes it again like two or three more times. But and I noticed it only because it was super helpful. It didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I get it, big family, strange dynamics, weird, um, like, the father had three wives and kids with every wife, right?
right,
But it really helped you absorb the individuals and retain it.
it is. So Liam is the product and the middle child of his father's first marriage. Well, it's technically the second marriage because the first marriage didn't have any children. So dad's been married 4 times. First marriage didn't have any children. His mom is the first wife that had children. And there's 4 boys with that, or 3 boys with that mom, right?
Four,
Four
four,
boys. Then divorced, but mom has remained friends with the next wife,
correct.
who had
And
two
then,
more sons.
yes.
And then dad divorced second or that next wife, and
And
now is
we're on the third or slash fourth
fourth
wife.
wife, and that wife and dad have a little girl.
Yeah.
Okay, and this episode's going to drop after we talk to Carrie Elks on our happy hour. So you guys are going to want to go over to our YouTube channel and watch that happy hour because I plan to ask her if we're getting all these siblings.
Because damn it, I'm invested in all of them now. You get so many glimpses of them that I'm like, I need to know more.
But what I need to happen is the littlest sister needs to fall in love with the brother from Winterville, the younger half brother that's of the hero from the fourth book.
Oh my.
That's
You're
what I
right.
need. I need the Salingers.
Okay, well, we'll pitch it. We'll pitch it when we talk to
right,
her
because
for the
it's
happy
West
hour.
Virginia. Because that's the other great thing. So Carrie Elks, we recently learned, does not live in the U.S. She's not even an expat. She is from England.
Yeah.
But she writes these books in Virginia, West Virginia, and she totally gets the vibe.
Right. And I'm like, she doesn't live there. Like, it's the way it's written, it's like that person lives there. They know it that well.
So what are your other thoughts on Liam? We've kind of moved far away from where we started.
Let's see. What did I love about Liam? Okay, I loved about Liam, first off, that he can cook. I mean, I'm a foodie, right? And so I'm a man that can cook, and that's kind of a weird love language for him, in a way that like it helps him take care of his family, if you will. because he does it for his brother um and Ava, his brother's wife, because they just had a baby, and that's the way. And he knew the family was coming over, so he made a big pot of food so that it's one less thing off their plate. Throughout the story, he cooks a couple times for Sophie and takes care of her, and she's a little blown away by it. So I loved that element of it from him.
He is definitely a caretaker and the peacemaker in the family.
Yeah.
He tries to navigate between everybody. But he's also running this financial hedge fund investment company that is based in New York and is sought after, successful. And he's doing really well with it. But there's this draw for him to finally leave New York City and move to Charleston, West Virginia.
Yes. I also kind of love how, so we find out early in the book that their one night stand, because chapter 1 starts with the one night stand, and he wakes up and is kind of like, what happened? What's going on? And he knows Sophie, and he doesn't remember any of it. And I kind of love that it irks him. It irks him bad that he does not remember, like, almost like details leading up to it, but then nothing. And he kind of dwells on it, which is I thought kind of great.
It's a different way of pining.
Yeah.
Because for him, it was this fierce attraction. He'd been attracted to Sophie from the time he met her, and to not remember this one moment. And he'd been very vocal leading up to this moment that he only does it once. He never goes back for seconds. And
and he always takes care. He like is adamant about making it an incredible experience for the woman.
Right. So it bugs him. He can't remember, and he doesn't know what he did and if he did it for her.
Well, and actually Sophie tells him that she didn't. And that irks him as well. Like, he's like, what the heck happened?
Yeah. So let's talk about Sophie, because she's a Spitfire, but she is also incredibly intelligent. And I really liked her. Mm-hmm. She's a little nerdy.
Super nerdy, but like in all the best ways. She's the type of person that, like, I want to be her best friend. She would easily make you, like, if you guys clicked, she would easily bring you into your tribe.
Yeah.
And be your best friend. And she's that, like, you want that random fact, you have something you need to know, and you're like, what's the one person I would call? She's that person. Like, she would just happen to know it, especially obviously with weather.
Yeah, she's a meteorologist for the local Charleston TV station. And she's not just navigating her career, but there's some family issues for her also. Her dad is, her mom's passed, like a time ago. It's 10 years, I think. I mean, it's been a minute. That's another thing to note. Both these characters were in their 30s, like late 30s. I think Liam might have been in his early 40s.
Yeah, I think he was 40.
Established in their careers, so smart. It was so great to read a romance where they weren't just 20 and dumb.
And I think what also helped was there was a lot of communication with them. They had a lot of great conversations. Like, and Liam even pushed her a little bit as their relationship developed. And I liked how it developed, because it turned into this, like, oh, we're going to watch TV together. We're going to start to do, like, it just naturally progressed. But when she started resisting on stuff, like, it almost became, okay, now how do I make her feel more comfortable? Like, how do we talk about this? Like, don't block me out. What's going on? And then it was like, okay, now I need to do this. How do I ease her into this and build that trust with her, which I really liked.
So part of this book is there's this fundraiser, and Sophie has to put an auction item up, and her boss, who's this creepy jackass, He's the villain of the story. He's the villain.
He's a
Um,
jerk.
he wants her to like put up a dinner date or something. And she's like, she kind of plays along with it, but she does a twist to it. And what it is,
Well, he actually convinces the intern, the female intern in the meteorologist, this basically threatens her that she has to do it. And Sophie comes to the rescue and is like, no, I'll cover you. I'll do it. Like, I'll take one for the team because we're not having the intern auction herself off for a dinner.
right.
Which I love that about her character. She's super protective of her team and the good people in her team.
And so she puts this item up for auction. It ends up being a daily forecast. And Liam, of course, wins it. And this forces communication, which, you know, we always talk about miscommunication. I do love a romance. And I think this is kind of one of those micro tropes we don't see very often. And I feel like I'm going to have to do a deep dive into for a bit. This micro trope of forced communication, because she has to either email him, text him. He actually wants video calls.
He does, and it's super cute because he has to email his itinerary for the week, and then she puts together the forecast. When she did it at first, she thought the person would be mostly in one area, and he's of course traveling back and forth quite a bit. I also like he kind of pushes her buttons because he says one night, he's like, yes, I have a dinner date, and so I need to know the weather for like sitting inside or outside, and it ruffles her feathers because she's like, oh my gosh. And so then he calls her
While he's on the way to the date? Or
no, at
on
the date.
Yes.
And I'm like, should we spoil it?
No, we shouldn't spoil it.
Okay, but it's really cute. It's not a bad thing. It's super cute.
It is. It's super cute. Um, so Sophie's best friends are Ava, who is book one, and then her other best friend is Lauren. They're the cheerleading squad we all should have.
Mm-hmm.
I just really liked them.
Yeah, I did too. Because they were each, Lauren has the bakery, so they're each successful and intelligent in their own rights. So it's this great group. But they also, know how to take care of each other and just relax and chill and razz each other as well.
I do hope Lauren gets a book. I hope she gets one of the brothers. I feel like she needs one of the brothers. And then, like we said, Liam has this whole gaggle of brothers. And the next book in the series is Miles, who is the hockey player of the family.
I'm excited for that one.
Was there anything else about this story we think we should tell about?
There's some light good girl vibes in here.
There is. It's kind of like to get your toes wet. He's a little bit of a dirty talker.
Yeah, good girl light.
Good girl light.
I think that too. Like when it comes to, yes, he's a player and he talks about how he genuinely cares that whomever he's with has a really good time. Like those moments, it almost created this really unique intimacy between them when they get to those points, the steamy points. Like because it wasn't rushed. It was like there was a savoring of this moment and crossing that line, and then what happens to all of that, which I really liked as well.
I really did find those moments too when they kind of FaceTime together to watch Netflix. She's taking him through the journey of Grey's Anatomy, and it just was really sweet. It also shows that, there is romanticism within the simple things.
In the everyday. Yeah.
And I really did enjoy that. I do think there is some fun, I say rom-com vibes to this book because there are moments where you're like,
yeah, when they go to her dad's house.
Yes. Awkward.
Awkward.
So awkward. I will also say one of the things about this book that I really liked that the author did not do is obviously Liam is a billionaire. He's very, very wealthy. And there's some problems for Sophie in the workplace. And, you know, you can see it at the auction and you see it coming into some other things that happen that move it throughout the story. Liam really could have come in and just fixed it all, you know,
Right.
and been the rescuer. But he didn't. He really didn't. He stayed.
I think he asked once or twice, and she's like, no, I got it. And he let her. I mean, not let her, I should say, like, he didn't step in.
He respected her boundaries.
Yeah.
And I really did like that. I
Mhm.
liked that he was so thoughtful, because sometimes, you know, we do read a romance, a billionaire romance, where they come in and just kind of steamroll and make everything easier.
Yeah.
But I like that we got, by not doing that in this book, we got to see the strength of a female character.
Well, and she had this big work project and he helped her with it.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, they were both tired, but they worked. Like, one night he cooked dinner and then they worked on this proposal and project, and he just like encouraged her and pushed her, which was great.
Yeah, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. Anything else everybody should know about Strictly Pleasure?
Go read the book.
Go read the book. It is in Kindle Unlimited. I cannot recommend it enough. And like I said, we are going to ask Miss Carrie Elks if we're going to see all these brothers.
All the brothers. I must have all the brothers.
I really need them all, because they all have some funny little bits and pieces about them.
And the sister.
And the sister. Because now I've planted that seed in your head and you can't let it go, can you?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wanted the sister before, but now that you've planted that seed, like, I really want the sister.
Right.
And let's bring the two series together.
Right. I know. I was trying to think of age-wise, which of her, you know, series has someone that would be like an appropriate age-wise.
Yeah.
Anyway. Carolina, thank you for one, suggesting Strictly for Pleasure, and also for joining me for this quick shot of romance.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.